Home, milady?
Home, Parker.
Hello, Podsterons. This week's episode of the Gerry Anderson podcast is dedicated to the memory of a dear friend and collaborator, David Graham, who sadly passed away on the 20th of September. David was a true legend of voice acting and a cherished part of the Anderson family for so many years. From his iconic performance as Parker in Thunderbirds, a role that brought humour, charm and unforgettable personality to one of the most beloved characters in television history, to his work as Brains, Gordon Tracy, and right back to Supercars, Dr. Beaker and Mitch the Monkey. David's incredible talent helped bring the Anderson worlds to life. His vocal range, his storytelling ability and his dedication to his craft have left us a lasting impact, not just on Anderson fans, but the entire world of entertainment. Beyond his work in the Anderson universe, David was, of course, the original voice of the Daleks in Doctor Who, further showcasing his immense contribution to science fiction and television. His career spanning decades was defined by creativity, warmth, and a unique ability to give voice to pretty much anything and anyone. David was a friend, a collaborator, and an inspiration. He helped lay the foundation of so many of the worlds that we love and continue to celebrate today. We will miss him dearly, and this episode is dedicated to his memory with our deepest gratitude for all the joy that he gave us.
Dear David, thank you for all the voices. On so many shows, brilliant. Love, Gerry. Goodbye.
Randomiser and news.
I'll be letting us eat cake.
Oh, and I'll be reading out some emails from our Podsterons.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson, Richard James and Chris Dale.
I understand it's pod 328 of the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
I think you may be right. That's what it says in the script here.
We've got a script. We've got a script.
It's there, right.
How far we've come.
We've got presenters and we've even got an audience.
Yeah, and we've got guests and
what?
a randomiser and
It's like it happens every week.
News. And we have a guest. And we have a guest.
Over the next month, I have the pleasure of interviewing both someone who I've killed and someone who has killed me.
Me and Chris.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'm really quite keen to hear about all this cake, so shall we head on
Yes, I
for
think
the Gerry Anderson news?
A rather
Cake news.
delicious news.
Oh, yes.
Gerry Anderson news. It's the Gerry Anderson cake news.
Cake.
Yes.
It's a whole new hashtag.
And it was a lovely cake. Lots of
Well,
lovely cakes.
let's give some context for the cake. Chris, bare your chest, please. I mean, just move your hands so that we can see what's on your T-shirt if you're
yes.
watching.
Oh, that's a relief.
It's the
yeah.
AE 25 years T-shirt. Yes, Anderson Entertainment turned 25 last month, and so we're celebrating things. You may have seen bits and pieces on the website about lost Anderson projects and get some teases there. 25 items from the archive, in fact. You can see a theme here.
Wow.
And so we thought we'd do something to celebrate, and we came here to the Moxie in
Yes, by
Slough.
way of doing something different, we came here.
Oh, yes, you're right. But we had cakes. Not 25 of them,
No.
but 3 of them.
Yes.
Rather beautiful things.
Yes.
And I believe we have some clips of the cakes.
Let's have a look.
Okay.
Welcome to Slough, the heart of Gerry Anderson country where so many of our favourite series were made. And we're here today at the world-famous Moxie Hotel in Slough, which of course will be familiar to many of you viewers of the Gerry Anderson podcast, because this is where every week we talk to wonderful people who had a hand in those fantastic shows. And today we're here to celebrate something rather special, the 25th anniversary of Anderson Entertainment. And we have cake. Take a look at these. I'm joined by Dawn Butler, the creator of these fantastic masterpieces. Now, so tell me, were you a fan of the Gerry Anderson series? Did you know these craft before you were presented with the pictures or designs?
Oh, absolutely. I'd like to say I'm perhaps a little young for the first time round.
Yeah, are we all? Yeah.
maybe. But yeah, Thunderbirds and Stingray was a big thing. We had to do some research on Eagle
Okay.
for Space 1999.
Yeah.
But honestly, what an absolute honour.
So which was the first one that you embarked upon here?
All three simultaneously. Because if I don't do all three, then you end up spending more time on one and then the other two don't get finished.
And which was the most challenging?
Eagle.
And why?
Because of the rigging, the shape of it, the angles. You think, oh yeah, that's just a few squares and hexagons, but that rigging, yeah, gave me a few nightmares.
So what's behind the icing? Are they each the same cake, or is there a different cake behind there?
There is a different cake. So this one in the centre, the earth, is a vanilla sponge with a strawberry jam and buttercream. Then we've got a death by chocolate cake for the actual stingray. Oh. The ocean over here is a toffee cake with salted caramel and Biscoff buttercream.
Lovely.
And then we've got a death by chocolate and an Oreo cookie crumb with a desiccated coconut.
Fantastic. I'm lucky enough to be joined by Mary Anderson. What does it mean to be celebrating 25 years of Anderson Entertainment?
No, it's wonderful, wonderful. And I'm so glad that Jamie's part of it. And I'm even gladder that all this cake is here.
Yes.
And we're going to have to eat it.
Yes, we're all very glad of that.
Yes.
What do you think Gerry would have made of all this?
He would have been very pleased, hugely impressed with the cakes and the models. And yeah.
Well, I'm joined by none other than Managing Director of Anderson Entertainment. It's Jamie Anderson. Hi, Jamie.
Hello, Richard. What a nice welcome.
So we're here to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Anderson Entertainment. You're surely too young to have been there at the birth.
Well, I'm older than 25, so I was there, but I wasn't involved initially. So no, it was a company founded by Mum and Dad in 1999, and here we are 25 years later. Company still running, making stuff, doing things, keeping the Anderson flame alive.
So cake. And cake. Was it always part of the plan that, when it became too much for your dad, or when he wanted to step back, or whatever, that you would take over the family business?
No.
Ah. So how did that happen?
He didn't want anybody else involved. It was his baby, and also he never wanted to retire. It was only illness that forced his retirement, and only at the end of his life did he eventually say, it's a kind of a shame that you didn't join the family business sooner. So when he was no longer here, there was a chance to say, well, do we forget everything Anderson and leave it all behind, or do we pick things up and carry on? And we've done exactly that. And the reward for that is 3 amazing cakes.
Is there a particular thought that you keep at the back of your mind when you're developing new projects? I mean, do you keep in mind what your dad would have thought of them, or is that a kind of a dangerous way to proceed?
I think everything's got to have an Anderson spirit, even the cakes. And that is one of kind of excitement, inspiration, and often selflessness. There's all the elements that were inspired by his hero brother Lionel, who was killed in the war. There's always those kind of characters in there. So it's got to have a kind of a positive, inspirational, aspirational edge to it. But other than that, it's sort of self-fulfilling in a way. If it's Anderson, it automatically feels like that, I think.
And I want you to just go straight across. You could then cut at another angle, so you've cut a diamond. And again, you need to where it points here, where the shape changes. That's where the board is.
Now, just a minute. Sorry to interrupt you. Yes, Chris Dale, who you may know from the Gerry Anderson podcast. How did your involvement in Anderson Entertainment come about?
Well, it started when I was asked to write a script for the first series of the Tower Holds Audios. That was in 2014 through Big Finish. And that seemed to go well. And 10 years later, I'm still here.
You're still here. Part of the furniture.
Essentially, yes. That's a very complimentary way to put it, if you don't mind me saying so.
Tell us about some recent work that you've done for Anderson Entertainment.
Recently, I've written my first novel, Stingray, the Titanic and Stratagem. Speaking of Stingray, I'm sorry, Troy, I've got the nose of your craft here, but it's very tasty. Yes, it's part of the 60th anniversary Stingray Deadly Uprising saga. And currently I'm interviewing several people, yourself included, for a documentary to go on the upcoming Space Precinct Blu-ray release.
Yeah.
So, it's all systems go. An SPA on that front.
Yes. I enjoy the cake.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Right,
my second bit.
Where's mine? Well, I think it's time to welcome Dawn back and let's set these things alight, shall we? Come on, Dawn. Come and join us.
We couldn't have a cake without candles, could we?
I'm so excited about
So
this.
are you ready for this? I don't know as I'm actually ready for this.
What's going to happen?
Okay. Have you noticed that we've got 2? It's pretty serious stuff, this is.
Amazing. That's astonishing. That's amazing. Fantastic.
Brilliant. Oh, I mean, they were delicious. What was your favourite?
Oh, the Stingray. The front of Stingray was this lovely chocolate. Just seeing that again. Oh, it was
See, I'm going for the water of Stingray,
The water,
which
yes.
was a salted
you
caramel.
can't quite get from that. The water and the cake, they're all different.
Yeah,
different
all
parts,
cakes.
different
I rather
flavours.
like the lunar landscape on the Eagle model.
Well,
Because
you
there's
would.
some Rice Crispy kind of cake things. Oh, delicious.
Yeah, it was amazing. So
Yeah.
thank you, Dawn,
Yes.
who did our amazing cakes for the 25th
And
anniversary.
Thunderbird 2's cake engines on the cake launch strip.
Yes, all of that. It was incredible. We had a lovely time, and we even got hashtag Mummy A down.
Yes. Can we have cake every year?
Every 25 years.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll be like
See-
70. I'll be 80.
See you in 2049. Anyway, so moving on from cake, the Eagle 1976.
yes.
Well, the Alpha edition sold out. Now, the Eagle 1976, as I think we mentioned last time,
Yes, we
is
did.
based on the Mattel Eagle from 1976.
Yeah.
It had a very short run in the US. It never came to the UK. It didn't even go to Canada. It was in the US only. And I think Mattel took the license in 76 just as things were starting to maybe not go so well for the show and for viewing figures. And so they only produced a few thousand units. Normally you'd have tens of thousands. So it was always hard to get and impossible outside the US. So we have made a version for grown-up kids.
Oh.
It's not an exact retool of the original. It's much more detailed.
Yeah.
Looks much more like an original Eagle. It's a beautiful thing. The Alpha edition, which is special numbered, signed, has all sorts of extras with it and some special treats for those who did manage to pick it up. That's gone, but there is a Kickstarter live right now, run by Giant Leap and Zyka Toys, or you can buy a pre-order the standard edition from the Gerry Anderson store. They are out in 2025, but they're lovely things.
they're gorgeous,
Cool.
yes.
I was
there you
hoping
go.
you'd bring one with you today.
We'd have to clear everything off this table and probably get another table as well.
It is 3 foot long. It's an amazing, beautiful thing. And if you're at the SpaceCon the weekend just gone, you will have seen that. And it was a gorgeous thing. Also, I should just add, our Fireball XL5 resin model kits are available in very limited numbers. They may have already gone by the time you hear
Didn't
this.
even know we had any.
Yes, No, we've partnered with Fantastic Plastic in the US, and we've managed to get a small batch of those kits over in advance. They may already be gone, but if not, you can go to the Gerry Anderson store and have a look for them there.
Hooray! Well, what a bumper edition of the Gerry Anderson News.
Yeah, that's enough though, isn't it now? So
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
that's the end of this week's Gerry Anderson News.
Newsy, 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 newsy,
He's gone all torchy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well done, Chris, for
dark.
breaking
I'm
that.
scraping the bottom of the barrel, truly.
Talking of scraping the bottom of the barrel,
Yes.
well, that's something we never do when it comes to our amazing guests.
What a beautiful save there.
Yes.
Well done.
Now, I know there are an awful lot of Space Precinct fans out there.
Both
Yes.
of them.
Yeah. And we know that Space Precinct is celebrating a rather important anniversary this year.
The 30th of
That's
them.
right. So, to celebrate all of that over the next couple of weeks, 4 weeks in fact, I've got a couple of guests coming in. We're starting with Stunt Coordinator and Stunt Man. There he is, look, in toy form. It's Glenn Marks.
Ah, Mr. Cyborg himself.
Let's see what he had to say. Amazing to have sitting opposite me the man who thumped me and shot me and left me for dead on the station house floor as the cyborg in Time to Kill, Glenn Marks. Hello,
Good
Glenn.
afternoon. How you doing?
Very good, thanks. Do you like our little homage to that classic scene?
I think it's brilliant, and I have one of those little figures of myself. Very proud, and I framed it and kept it in the original packaging.
Have you now? Wow, that's...
Yeah, the kids love it. It hangs up in our snug with,
You know,
with the TV and all their toys.
that would be worth a fortune, you know, if you were to sign that, honestly. Is it the only toy of all the characters or parts you've played over the years that's been made of you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not bad, is it?
Yeah, it's the only bit I've got. I believe there are other bits of merchandise, but the only thing I could find was that toy. And
Yeah.
now I look at it, and it's great fun.
I mean, he's something of an iconic character. He's a bit of a fan favourite, the Cyborg from Time to Kill. Are you aware of that?
I think it's probably looking back on all the episodes, and I enjoyed watching them. I tried to look at them objectively.
Yeah.
And I think it was the most fun one,
Yeah.
that Cyborg.
But you were telling me a story before we started here about what Gerry said to you before you started shooting.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised. Just there were an awful lot of costume fittings and getting moulded into the suit. And Gerry came up and said, I want you to do me a favour. I want you to weigh yourself before we start filming and weigh yourself afterwards and just come and tell me if there's any weight difference. And I went to see him afterwards and I went, that was a very clever thing to ask me. because I only weigh 11 and I think I was 11 and a quarter stone. I've always been quite slight. And he said, what did you weigh it finished? I went, exactly 10 and a quarter stone. I lost a stone in 2.5 weeks. And the poor prop guys on the set, wherever I walked, because it wasn't just the prosthetics as we wore, but it was the whole chest piece.
Yeah.
And wherever I walked on the set, I'd look down, and honestly, I hadn't done anything naughty, but there was just a pile of water, and it was just sweat just pouring off me. And when you all had an hour's lunch break, my whole lunch break was going back to the dressing room, taking everything off, having a shower, grabbing a quick sandwich I'd brought in the morning because I just didn't have time to walk across Pinewood to go and get anything to eat, putting it all back on again and getting back down. And lunch break seemed to take 5 minutes, but that was a whole hour.
Extraordinary.
And I had to do it every day.
And these were the days, of course, when those studio lights were hot. It's not the same anymore with the sort of LEDs and whatever they use now.
It was boiling in that suit. It was boiling.
God,
but one of the hardest bits was my limited vision, but also once the head was screwed on, it had 3 or 5 bolts that put the head in place. I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
So then it was Alan, who was the special effects guy. He rigged me up with a sound department, a microphone, and said, right, we can talk to you now. So, okay, this one's coming from behind, and that had a very low, but it was, then I could hear Marcia saying, roll cameras, action, rather than everyone having to shout at me.
Yes.
And it made my life so much easier when you're I don't think really it comes across, but when you're on set and you can hardly see, and from the mast with the servos going above your eyes whatever, and not being able to hear, it makes it so difficult. But once I could hear and they could talk to me in that head, then it made life a lot easier.
Yeah, extraordinary. We'll be taking a closer look at that classic scene in the warehouse. I mean, do you remember that shoot went on for days, didn't it, in that warehouse?
I do, I remember it.
We'll be taking a look at that a bit later on, and also talking about your wider career as well, because, of course, it's been 30 years since Space Precinct. I mean, obviously, you and we were very young, weren't we? Back in 30 years ago.
I'd only just become a stunt coordinator when I got that gig. And it was a brilliant one to learn on because CGI was still in its infancy.
Yeah.
And then to have directors like we had, to have John Glenn in there, involved in 5 Bond films, either editing or directing them.
Amazing.
And it was John who set me on the right course for stunt coordinating. And he sat me down and said, what I need as a director from you as a stunt coordinator is, and he went through a whole long list, and that's applied to my whole career. And if it wasn't for John, I think I probably would have got there, but certainly not as quickly as because I had John Glenn there telling me what he was after.
Now, can you define then what's the difference between a stunt man, as we might term it, and a stunt coordinator? So are they very different roles? Very
different, and we all start off as stunt performers.
Yeah.
Men, women, whatever we are today. But we call them performers. So you start off as a stunt performer, and it used to be in the old days, but it used to be 3 grades to become a coordinator. Now I think there's 5, and it's hugely different. So the phone will ring, or I'll get an email, or today mainly it's on WhatsApp. It's frustrating with WhatsApp. Will you come and do this TV series or this film or something? The normal way it works, and I say normal because this year has been really, really different, and I'll explain why. But normally you get sent a script. I'll read the script. I'll break down what I think are the stunts on it. I'll ask what my budget is. Sometimes you're told, sometimes you're not.
Right.
Other times you're sent a script and they've already done the stunt breakdown and said, we want you in these days.
Yeah.
Other times production and I will put in what we think is right, and then it'll come back from generally the insurance companies, or it's from the underwriters, and they generally increase the amount of days because they'll see a risk on a day that they then need to cover. So there's one recently I did with, and the lead in it was an 8-year-old boy. Production sent me the days they thought, and I thought some of them were way over the top. One of them I thought, no, definitely I took that out, but I added in a few other days because I thought, no, you can't have an 8-year-old and it could potentially be at risk. The insurance came back and said, no, you're in an extra 14 days on top of the days that I thought the production was still querying from me.
Right.
And so basically, if you don't have a stunt, it doesn't have to be me, but a stunt coordinator there, we won't cover you.
Yeah.
So there's an awful lot of input into when you're on set and what you're doing. So the main thing is the prep time. And I like to sit with the director, producers, and go through it with them as to the style of the action they want, because you can't just go on and do whatever you want, because everything has consequences.
Absolutely.
It's not just time, but time leads to money, and then cost of building. And we did huge amounts of build on Space Precinct that put them to huge cost to build things so we could do the stunts. And that
And
comes
to
on
do the stunts more effectively, safer.
just to be able to do them, period. I mean, some of the sets don't allow you to do what they want to do, and sometimes the sets can be smaller or bigger. Or, And what I loved about Space Precinct, sorry to keep going back to it, but
that's what you're here for.
Once a fortnight, I'd sit with the art director and I'd go into his office. We'd set a time when I wasn't on set. You guys probably didn't know this.
of
was
course
all
not.
going on behind the scenes. And one of his assistants would bring in tea, and I'd normally bring a cake or cupcakes or biscuits or something.
What?
And we'd sit there for, depending how long the episode was and what the stunt requirement, would sit there and we'd go through all the sets that were being built, and we'd say, does this work for you? And I've thought, if we did this set, if we designed it this way or whatever. And I love doing that, because then you're right in their ground roots, right from the beginning, and so you know you can set the stunt up to work around the sets.
Which ultimately saves them time, saves them money, because you've prepared for it.
Yeah, but some of them were very expensive to build. But the production money's there to be spent on the screen. And I'll always ask, and they can always turn around and say, oh, no thanks, that's too much, or, you know, whatever. But I really enjoyed that time.
Yeah. Amazing. Now, we're going to look across Gerry's career now and play a little game that we play with all of our guests. You may have noticed on the front here, we've got some little scorecards for previous guests, okay? Because we're going to play a game called Super Identification.
Okay.
We're going to play very, very quick snippets from each of the opening titles of every one of Gerry Anderson's series, okay? From 1957, I think, to 2006. And I want you to shout out the ones that you recognise, and we'll see how you do out of the 18 series that we've got. Are you ready for this, Glenn?
I'm ready, but don't expect a big score.
Let's go. Number 1. Black and white.
No idea.
I told you they'd be quick.
Yeah.
There'll be some that you recognise. Very early days still. I reckon once we hit colour, you might recognise a few.
Well, that's got to be Thunderbirds, that one. That
close.
was around my time.
That's
but
close.
We'll see if well, here we go.
That's
Thunderbird
it.
one.
That's good.
Love Thunderbirds. That's what I was brought up on as a kid. Captain Scarlet.
Good. Remember this guy?
I do, but don't remember the name.
Joe 90.
Joe 90.
I mean, there are so many of these. And now we're into live action series.
No idea on that one.
This is an emergency.
Getting into the 80s now. Here's one you'll know.
I know the music.
And almost at the end.
Well, I won't be on Mastermind as my chosen subject. I did terribly then.
Listen, you haven't done as badly as some. It is only a bit of fun, remember, okay? It's not really a competition. I mean, some people get them all. We've had some guests here who've got all 18 of those.
I can believe
some people
it.
who've got none. You got 3.
Three's
not bad, man. I mean, you're a busy man. You don't have time to sit down and watch TV. So I'm going to give you a score of 3 there on your very own Thunderbirds.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're happy about that, aren't you? So, as a kid, what were you watching? I mean, I know I asked you earlier, and we'll have a look in a moment at your first Anderson memory. But aside from Anderson shows, what did you grow up watching? Do you remember as a kid?
Well, Tom and Jerry was around those sort of cartoons, but TV wasn't on all day. TV would go off in the afternoon. So you had Blue Peter, loved Newsround.
Oh, yeah, you did. John Craven.
But we're never massively into TV, and I really don't watch much TV still.
Well, that's really
I know
interesting.
it probably sounds weird to people, but the hours that we work, just you're just not at home to watch TV. So if we've got to be on set, and as a coordinator, it doesn't matter if the call time's 8, you really have to be in for 7.
Yeah.
You've got to travel to where it is.
Yeah.
You might finish 7, 8 o'clock at night. If you're not on the same show, you're then in the car driving from wherever you live to Manchester, Wales, Scotland, wherever, to do the next day. From there, you might be driving again. And I've got kids.
Yeah.
And I love to spend time with my kids. I know from my eldest, who left home some years ago and now is working, went through uni. The younger ones, I got very lucky, I'm blessed. I got twin boys that are 10. And they just demand your time.
Of course they do.
By the time I finished homework, schooling, whatever it is, read books, got them to sleep, I then have to sit down and do the paperwork side that nobody sees.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, you must watch this show.
Yeah.
There's a series I'm doing at the moment, which I haven't signed an NDA, but apparently I'm not allowed to know the name of.
Okay.
But it's filming in Barry, and they're doing their last ever episode.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And
right.
So you might
Yes.
guess, I think it'll be out on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
But it's very strange because we're not allowed to know what it's called.
No.
But we know all the actors are working on it and things.
Yeah.
And they said to me, oh, you've seen all these episodes. So I said, no, I've never watched it. They were horrified, but I'm just not around to watch it.
I mean, that's really interesting. So I thought I'd be hearing a very different story from you, Glenn. I thought you'd be saying to me, oh, yeah, as a kid, I watched this movie or that TV show, and that's what inspired me to become a stuntman, a stunt coordinator, work behind, get in front of the camera. Did you have a light bulb moment as a kid, or did that come later?
No, I always wanted to be a chef.
A chef?
Yes, yeah. Loved cooking.
Yeah.
And then from the age of 13, I worked in a chocolate factory.
You did
and
not?
I loved it.
Cool.
I was saving up to buy my first car. And at the time, family were living in North London. And I would be in the factory at 6 in the morning. So I used to get a very early tube in. And we would be making truffles and chocolates on a Saturday. And I went back on holidays. And I absolutely loved it. So there you go. So no, I didn't think from an early age I'd be in the film business. I knew nobody in the film business, knew nothing about it. I came from a complete outsider.
So how on earth did you end up?
Yeah, it seemed like a good idea at the time,
Right.
I guess. I really enjoyed acting at school, and I went to drama school. I left, and I was very lucky. Immediately I was picked up by Compass, the company was called, which was a touring company doing Shakespeare.
I remember them, yeah.
And I loved it. And I finished that and absolutely nothing, but I still liked the business. And then I did some bits of telly work, and I had somebody come in and double me one day, and they looked nothing like me at all. I was still only 20, I think. And I looked into the stunt register, and there really weren't any young guys on. And I already had about half the qualifications that I needed to get on.
Yeah.
So I finished them within a short period of time, got on, and then work came in, and I just loved it.
Really?
I thought we're doing all these naughty things that you're not allowed to do.
Yeah.
Driving cars way too fast on the road, and the roads are closed off for you, and the police are there and go, yep, that's fine. You're going, wicked.
Amazing.
Doing all sorts of mad things.
Yeah.
And loved it.
Yeah.
And then quite quickly moved up the ranks to become a stunt coordinator. And there was a girl called Sue, and I don't remember her last name, and she rang me to come in and do work on episode 3 of Space Precinct. Well, I just had to come in through a door and slip on a banana skin, I think, or something, and fall over.
Sounds
Then
about
asked if I'd come back again, and then the Cyborg episode came up.
Yeah.
And they asked me if I'd do that. And then when that finished, remember Gerry came on the set on John Glenn's next episode, and everything stopped on set because there's Gerry Anderson, a complete legend. And in front of the whole crew and cast, he said, John, how do you feel about Glenn staying for a whole year? And I was just looking really embarrassed to go, is this really a conversation to be having in front of 80, 100 people?
Yes.
Well, it's great. Why don't you stay and watch? He's directing this fight scene. No. Are you happy to carry on working with him? And John went, absolutely. Go and see Tom and Gerry. Now, Tom and Gerry was not either, it was the line producer and the production manager who called Gerry and Tom. So we all called them Tom and Gerry, which always made everybody smile that we had Tom and Gerry run this show. Yeah. I went to see them, and they said, Gerry said you'd like to be here for a year. And so I stayed for a year.
Amazing.
Like some girl called Sue, who I'd worked with one day on the bill, who ran me to come in and do. It's just luck of
it really is,
right
isn't it?
place at the right time.
But also right skills at the right time. You know, they obviously saw something that they needed. I mean, that's the cold, hard logic of a TV production, isn't it? They saw something in you that they needed that would be useful, and you were there.
Yeah, and I loved it. And it was a real... How can I put this? It was a great one to do, being a cyborg, because it tested every single thing you knew about doing stunts, and you just had to be so patient and keep the stamina going. At times into the second week, I was exhausted.
I bet.
I mean, absolutely. I thought, how am I going to drive home tonight?
Yeah.
Go and have another shower. Everybody had gone.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was 8:30, 9 before I could literally crawl in the car, get back, and then you know you've got to be back in for 6:45 in the morning again, because it takes so long to get into the outfit and everything, and you're going through it all again.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
God, extraordinary. Now, in our brief text exchange, I asked you about your first Anderson memory, and you very kindly supplied me with one. So let's have a look at this, and then we'll have a chat about it afterwards.
Cool. Brilliant.
Had to be.
Had to be. Brilliant. We could sit and watch them for ages. I mean, they're timeless. I remember them, and for my birthday, when being little, I remember my folks asked me what I wanted, and I was desperate to have the Thunderbirds models. I had the die-cast ones, and Thunderbirds 2, the green one, was my favourite. And the centre came out, and it had all these other bits of whichever ones they were, the other little models that came out. And I'd play with these for hours. So rather than watch TV, I was always fascinated by all these die-cast cars and Thunderbirds I had. And when I came back, I was at boarding school, so I must have been about 10 or 11. I came back one holiday, and I couldn't find any of them. And I said to her, where are all my Thunderbirds? That was first, and then all my cars gone. And she went, oh, I thought you'd grown out of them. I gave them all away. They've all gone to charity a few weeks ago. And the only ones I've still got are my Batmobiles. I've got a few of them. Chichity Bang Bang. I've still got my pink Rolls Royce. I had a little one and a big one.
Yeah.
And the James Bond cars. I got a lead odd job.
Oh, yeah.
And I've given those to my kids now. But because I used to play with those, I kept them in my school bag, and I had them at school. But I lost all my Thunderbirds toys.
Crazy. Wow. So Thunderbirds obviously made an impact.
Loved it.
So when you got the call for Space Precinct, when you first heard about it, or the name Gerry Anderson obviously meant something to you.
Yeah, it was massive.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I remember the first time I met him wasn't when I went in to do the first episode. He was very much in his office, and I was on the set and went in like every, actors do.
Yeah.
Go and do your bit, stuntmen. And it was only then when it came to doing the preparations for the Cyborg that I met him the first time. And he was really tall. I remember that.
Yeah.
But what he and his wife Mary created there was something different, because they really made it a family feel. You wanted to go into work every day. And to be on it full time was just brilliant. And Gerry said to me after the Cyborg episode, he said, look, if you get any ideas, my door is always open. Just knock on the door, come in.
Yeah.
The door's shut, I'm in a meeting, I can't. But if the door, and most of the time the door's open.
Yeah.
And I did once. I remember I took a friend of mine in who's now health and safety, and his name's Jake. And I thought, I bet you this will stir something in. Gerry was what, 6'3", 6'4"?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, he was a tall man.
Tall. Yeah, Jake was 7 foot without his shoes on. And if you saw him at distance, you thought, okay, there's just a guy. But he's completely, but a big guy. He used to play American football.
Oh, yeah.
And he walked in the door, and I think his sort of shoulder height at the door to get in. Gerry just stood there looking at him, went, right, I don't know what we're going to put you in, but Glenn, you're absolutely right. You're in some episode somewhere. And in the police station, I remember the first time we just brought him in, you couldn't even see his face, because where the camera was, all you could see was the guy's waist and up to his chest, and he walked past this.
That character from, is it Police Squad? Do you know? I know you
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah,
you never see his because he's
yeah.
too tall.
Yeah.
Did he end up playing a part in the series then? Do you remember? Or
No, because it was towards the end of the first series.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to Gerry about it, and he said, we're going to go again. We're going to give you all 6 weeks off, and then we'll ask everybody back. That's how much of a family feel, because they wanted everybody back.
Yeah.
And that was really nice. And I think a huge compliment to Gerry and Mary as well.
Yeah.
And I think just about everybody wanted to do it again. For whatever reason, it didn't go again.
Yeah.
But I'd spoken to Gerry, and he said, no, he had some ideas for Series 2.
Right.
And I think he wanted to pair him up with Kieran, who was...
Kieran Shah.
Kieran Shah.
Aha. The world's smallest stuntman.
Well, smallest stuntman, people don't know. I don't even think he's 4 foot tall, is he?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
He's about that or something. So to have him and somebody who's 7 foot, and the big boots they put us on, so you probably get somebody who's 7'5" or something.
Yes.
So he obviously had some idea of a storyline in place.
Brilliant. Amazing. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that family feel. I remember talking with Rob Thurtle, who played every episode. He was another creature, essentially, as was Andy Dawson and Wayne Forrester, names that you might remember,
Yes,
and Will Barton, Alexa Rosewood, Lee Tinkler, God, Joe Burns. Anyway, and I remember Rob saying, this feels like a repertory company. And it was, because you saw the same faces almost every week. You had a guest cast, of course, you know, the likes of Stephen Burkhoff. Or,
Do you remember when Stephen came in?
Yeah. And it was a great family repertory company sort of feel, which I think is quite unusual.
That was the longest death ever in the history of film, was Stephen Burkhoff. So he got, I don't think it's giving the story away, but he gets shot, and we went through how he's going to be shot, and then he falls back and he's on the floor and he dies. So John Glenn's looking at me and went, are you ready? I went, yeah, he's got some pads on, we've rehearsed it, it's great. So Stephen takes the bullet hit, and he spent the next 2 minutes dying. And John just looks at me going, what? I went, it's not what I rehearsed. I said, just keep the cameras rolling, let him just finish, because then you can have the beginning. If you want to use another bit, you'll have to cut away something else, and hopefully he'll die at some point.
Brilliant.
2 minutes of dying.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I can quite believe that. Yeah, that's right. So we spoke a while ago about a little earlier about the difference between a stuntman and a stunt coordinator, and where the difference lies there. Are you in charge of the choreography of stunt work as well? Is it up to you then to work out what the stunt's going to be in conjunction with the director and so on?
A lot of it's written in the script. Sometimes what they put in the script you can't do, so you can never say no to them, but you need to give them alternatives.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind the consequences to everything that you say and the ideas you come up with. Then you need to choreograph it. What we do a lot today, we pre-visit. So I will get a group of stunt guys, we will go and film it, and then we bring them a finished version. So they know exactly what they're going to get on the screen. I'm a very open book when I work. I like everybody to know what's going on. There it is, either storyboard or it's pre-vised. Everybody knows what's happening. And then the shoot's more relaxed and more fun, because everyone can then on the crew give you your best, and they do.
Yeah.
And you just, sometimes it's just a little bit of something extra comes into a scene.
Yeah.
So sometimes I have these mad ideas.
Yeah.
And they tend to work. And then I get this little sort of fan club thing. I don't quite know where it's come from, but I get quite a lot of emails and phone calls and however people get in touch today from university students doing their degrees or PhD or something, and say, right, how did you do this stuff?
Right.
And I won't always tell them right from the beginning. I'll say, first of all, watch it with the sound off.
Okay.
And then come back to me, and because I can't just spoon feed them because I'm busy, but I want them to try and use their own brains. If they're, and forgive me calling them kids, but if they're 19, 20, I've got kids that age, to me they're still kids.
Yeah.
I want them to use their brain to think, how did I put that together? And I had one girl from America who, when I did Theory of Everything, wanted to know how I got Eddie Redmayne to fall as Stephen Hawking and hit his head on the stone slabs.
Right.
So I'm not going to give you all the answers. But I would say go away and watch it without the sound on.
How interesting.
And then I said to her, she came back and said, no, I still can't work it out. I said, right, go and play it in slow-mo. So you can get the clips up on YouTube. Right? Then come back to me. And she still couldn't get there in the end. And she did her last thesis.
Yeah.
And she used this. And she said, I can't believe how much work you had to put in to get someone to fall. And I said to her, well, when we went on the recce up in Cambridge, James Marsh, the director, said to me, and then Stephen Hawking falls over and all the crew, and they all walked off.
Yes.
I went,
hang on.
No, come back. I went, no, he doesn't just fall, does he?
Yeah.
And they all looked at me, what? I said, no, this is a pinnacle moment in his life, because he goes from able body to disabled body in the flick of a switch. When you get motor neuron disease, one day it'll just kick in and suddenly your nervous system goes and you can't control your physicality at all. I said, so when he falls, he's just got a face plant. I said, let's give him something to make it a bit more dramatic. Can he be holding something so some papers go in the air? Can he be wearing his glasses? They said, yeah, but his head can't hit these stone slabs. I said, yeah, they can. I'll teach him how to do it. Then we had the problem on the day that they hadn't closed off all of this college in Cambridge. So we had loads of people. And Eddie was concerned that there could be paparazzi or somebody filming. So the two of us just disappeared. I'm sure they were looking for us.
Yeah.
Because when I rehearse for the actors, if I don't get rehearsal day, I just like to have it so it's them and I. So they can, I won't say make their mistakes, but I don't want them to feel under pressure with the crew and everybody and passers-by and members of the public watching them. I want them to be able to just relax and do it when no one can see them. Then we go on set and give them a finished product. I don't want them to see how we got there.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And then we did the fall and he face planted his head into the stone slabs and it worked.
Amazing. Incredible. And that lady was right. So much work into one moment, which you only see once. I mean, in the age of streaming and Blu-ray, you can watch it again and again. But actually, effectively, in the cinema, you see it once and then you move on. So it's much of your work.
But I'll give you a bit more so that otherwise people are left wanting. So
go on.
You obviously can't smack your head into stone slabs, and these are old stone. It's hard stone up at Cambridge. So before we got on the recce, I was chatting with CGI. So they do all the computer animation. And I said, are you charging for each job on this? Or he said, no, we have a blanket fee and we can do so much. I said, right. Personally, I said, but it's not for me to tell you a job. I don't think it'd be that expensive. If I've got the camera locked off and I put what I want down as the stone slabs, can you raise the grass and everything else so that it's all still on the same plane? They said, yeah, that's a simple program for us to run. What is it you want to put down? A crash mat? I said, no. I've asked the art department, they're going to mould all of these stone slabs and make them out of the foam that I like the density to. So it can't be too soft and it can't be too hard.
Yeah.
So I said, I want a good 8-10 metres of these stone slabs that'll be cast. Then it goes to another person in the art department, this girl who was brilliant, and she painted them so they look just like the others.
Yeah.
So the original stones that were underneath were then cast in soft foam, put on top and painted, and then Eddie could do. So I said, but I got him to do it from the warp, but I said he doesn't need to. Let's get him. So I had him come past camera. They had this brilliant American movement coach who taught all of us, me, Eddie, how to walk his way.
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking's way, where you dragged a leg and positions your shoulders are in. I said, right, that's still really hard to face plant from standing up. So let's get Eddie to come past camera and fall onto a couple of crash mats. Right, Eddie, go into a press-up position on the floor. Give me a camera really low down. And they just went with it. And I had CGI people there, I had producers, because I was spending a lot of their money and time on this. And I could see that they didn't get it.
Right.
For whatever reason, some of them didn't get it. But I knew where I was going with this. So I had him in a press-up position on the floor. I said, right, we need to overcrank on this. Let's do it at 100 frames. So you get 4 times the amount of film back through the camera, so it happens in slow-mo.
Yeah.
So I got him then to do a press-up, push really hard right above the frame, and then came down because I didn't want him just to fall into it. It's too hard. But if you're doing a press-up, so I said, right, now turn your head to the left. Let's stick the glasses towards the end of your nose, but I don't want you to hurt yourself on the side. So let's move them slightly to the right because the camera will never, the audience won't pick that up.
Yeah.
And we did it, and bang, he smacked his head on this thing and went down. And I remember when I went to the cast and crew or so on, so I thought, yeah, Eddie Redmayne, you did a really good job with that.
Amazing.
It just looks like you've face planted that stone.
Incredible.
So you can take a little moment, make it instant, but look at the cost and the time. It was half a day to film that sequence, which is a huge amount of time for a feature film to put into it. But they let me, and
Yeah.
I'm pleased they did.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased with the result.
And do you find actors are mostly receptive?
Yeah, they know we're there to make them look good. We don't take any of that credit.
Exactly.
We don't do many interviews.
Exactly.
And they're great fun to work with. And I find the more talented they are and the bigger stars they are, the more they demand from you and the easier our job becomes.
Yeah.
You'll get some of them who'll walk on set, and I'm sure he won't mind if I say their names, but I'd love doing Foyle's War. And when I first met Michael, he said to me, who plays Foyle, he said to me, you and I will get on very well as long as you never ask me to do anything. I said, well, how about for all the episodes and all the series of Foyle's War, I'll never ask you to do anything. He said, you and I are going to get on famously. So if there ever was a stunt, it comes to a point, if you don't want to do the stunt, you don't. That's what stuntmen are there for.
Yeah,
to
that's
take
right.
the pain and not have to be in front of an explosion and
Yeah.
all the rest of it.
Exactly.
So
great. Now, just before we say goodbye for this week, I think we should see you in action from Time to Kill. So let's have a look at the infamous warehouse
seen
scene.
this for ages. Let's have a look.
From Space Precinct.
One of the hardest stunts I've ever done.
Hurry it up, people, move it.
Felt like an earthquake. Brilliant, Haldane. I'm surprised you haven't made detective already.
Well, I do know how to make the earth move.
You wish.
Okay, party's over.
What the hell is that?
I don't know. We weren't introduced.
Pardon me, Brogan. What is it shooting? Some kind of charged particle beam. That smoke can't be. Tell him that. Move. I'll cover you. Talk! Talk!
Get out, kid! Get out!
Going through that window was so difficult.
Really?
I still remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah?
There was a gap between the end of the runway and the window, and I couldn't see the gap because of the mask. Yeah. So it's like doing a long jump, but if you go over the board, you don't just get a foul, you're going down the hole. Then the way the set was constructed, they couldn't make the window any taller, which is what I wanted, because I had a metal beam going across it. So when I went through, if you play it slowly, you'll see I'm ducking my head. So I had to do it all blind. I had to pace out, and I paced it quite a few times, the run, and I knew I couldn't overextend because I'd be down the hole. And once I pushed off with my left leg, I knew that I had to then just cramp my body up. The other problem was I had about 3.5 foot the other side before the wall. So I put a load of boxes in there to land in, but there really wasn't enough landing area to go in.
Crikey.
And you just had to do it all blind.
I mean, do you remember, was that one take or did you have to do
One take,
Yeah,
that was it. No, we got it, and I said to Alan, who was directing, I went, I got it.
Yeah.
I know I can't improve it.
Yeah.
Forgive me, but I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
Because I've only got to overextend another few inches. I said, and I'm down the hole, and there's nowhere to go then. You're just in serious trouble. He went, no, look, I've got the shot I want. It's fine. We'll move on.
And were you fully kitted in
The whole
the
shebang,
Cyborg, or did you have sort of stunt head mask, or was it the full-on thing as you went through that window?
No, it's a full-on thing. They made a stunt head, which I've still got. I was given as a present.
Oh, yeah,
There were 3 of them. And I love having it.
Yeah.
It's great. It sits on a shelf and it's there and it's sort of memories. And I think the other reason was because it was so difficult. But the stunt head, it was supposed to be lighter, but quite frankly, it didn't make any difference. It was moulded to fit my head. And I was so used to wearing the head that I was wearing every day.
Yes.
You become familiar with it. Yeah. It really didn't make any difference. Supposedly there was the hardest bit of all was the gun on the left hand. It was so heavy. And we had a stunt guy come in and there was a shot of the gun firing round. And I said to him, right, you're right-handed. I said, right, my left arm's gone. And this was about day 3 or 4 into it. I said, can you do the gun? So he was lifting up. Then he couldn't lift his right. And he was like muscular, like He-Man thing. So then he had a stand to rest it on. He went, I'm much bigger and heavier and stronger than you. How? And I'm struggling my right hand. How are you doing this with your left hand? I went, well, I've been doing a lot of press-ups before and I could do them anyway. I said, but just practice. I had 2 weeks of this thing and I knew I just had to go and because rehearse lifting it up, swinging it around a couple of hours a day, because otherwise I wouldn't have the strength to get through all the time. You can't say, oh, can you stop filming because my left hand's a bit tired, please.
That's right. True enough.
And having to whack people or yourself with them, I had to know I could get there and not actually make contact. And the soft foam one they made, to be honest with you, I think one of the days I had to hit Simone in the face in a scene. I went into a cell and she said, is that the soft one? I said, be honest with you, I've got more control over the real one. I said, I'm only going to go to 45 degrees or wherever I was going to 90 degrees with it. I said, but I can't see you. You're coming to me from behind. I need to be able to trust you that you're not going to overstep. We put a load of sausages, sort of sandbaggy bean bags down. I said, when your foot is that, none of your body can come past it because I'm going to fly at you with this really heavy gun and then you take your reaction off it. I'll never go past that, but I've got to know that you're not coming into my area. And she did it brilliantly. One take, bang, down she went and did a great reaction to it. And fortunately, I didn't hit her in the face.
Fortunately not. No, that's right. Thanks so much, Glenn, for this week. Will you come back again next week and answer some questions from our viewers and listeners?
I'd love to.
Brilliant. See you then.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much to Glenn Marks for joining us.
Yeah.
It's fantastic stories from our days at Pinewood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what fond memories he has of murdering you all.
Yes, that's right. Now, next week, I'm going to show him a little clip of where I chickened out of a stunt, so he had to do it for me.
Oh. Gosh.
Yeah. All that and more yet to come. Talking of things yet to come.
Talking of chickening out.
Chickening in?
Something that is yet to come, but is really very imminent because we're there now.
Yes.
The Voice of the Podsterons.
Great.
This is the Voice of the Podsterons.
It's very easy to get in touch with us at podcast@gerryanderson.com. Now, do you remember a few weeks ago I asked that this edition of the Gerry Anderson podcast, we should have some first-time emailers?
Yes, I remember.
How's that gone?
We've had a few.
Hooray!
In fact, I have to say, we had one very last minute that I can't include in this particular batch. We'll have to wait a few weeks until we get to that one. But it's always nice to hear from new Podsterons, or at least new emailers.
Yes.
So here's one. This is from Jay Fenney. Jay Fenney says, hi guys, complete with enthusiastic double-handed wave. They remember, don't they?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's probably been like 6 months since you did that.
It'll never leave you, Chris.
This is my first time emailing into the pod answering Richard's call for newbies to get in touch. I'm a big fan of the pod, currently working my way through the back catalogue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's currently on 199.
Oh, we're doing quite well.
But needing to reach 255 to catch up, as well as watching the new pods every week.
Wow.
I mean, is there time to do anything else?
No.
Probably not. I've always been a huge fan of Anderson productions, particularly Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet, Stingray, and I credit Chris's Randomiser musings on Joe 90 for giving me a perspective on the show that I really enjoy.
That's what it's all about.
Well done, Chris.
Brackets. Even if, like Jamie, I find Joe himself to be pretty irksome.
Very good.
Is that the word you would use?
I would say he's irksome. Yeah, excellent word.
I was lucky enough to be able to attend the first Standby for Action concert in Birmingham a couple of years ago, but sadly wasn't able to make the recent Standby for Action 2, so I missed the live performance of the Zero X theme.
Oh,
what a highlight.
That was lovely.
Yes. This kind of segues perhaps as loosely as some of Richard's, how dare he,
Ouch.
to the main point of my email. I love the soundtracks of both the Puppet Thunderbird films, but trying to obtain them to own seems incredibly tricky, or at least prohibitively expensive. I have a feeling this won't be possible due to rights issues, but would there be a chance of you wonderful people releasing a new copy of these? This may have been asked and answered previously, but I would love to know whether this will ever be possible or likely. Many thanks, and FAB, J. Fenny.
So I believe MGM owns that music, possibly. There have been CD releases of it previously. About 10 years ago, there was a combined soundtrack of both of them. Mostly Thunderbirds 6 music. I don't think there's much surviving from Thunderbirds Our Go. Before that, there was a separate Thunderbirds 6 release. So it has happened. For now, all I can say is keep an eye on eBay, because I doubt it would fall within Silver Screen's
we could
license.
try. We could have a conversation with Silver Screen. Yeah. I mean, 60th anniversary.
Stuff and
it's probably worth it for next
Never
year.
say never.
We'll have an Ask Jay.
Oh, great. Over to you, Chris.
Oh, thank you. This is Coco calling the Gerry Anderson podcast.
Hello, Coco.
Gerry Anderson podcast, do you read me?
Yes, we're reading it
Hello,
out and
everyone.
clear.
This is my first Podsteron email, so here's my Gerry Anderson backstory, sort of. It was around 3 years ago now that I discovered and loved the CGI series Thunderbirds Our Go. But it wasn't until about 2 years later that my father came up to me one day and randomly handed me a DVD containing the first 4 episodes of the original Thunderbirds and said, seeing as you love the Thunderbirds so much, you might also enjoy the original series I grew up with.
Yes.
And he was right. I instantly fell in love. Since then, I have watched in this order all of Thunderbirds, the Thunderbirds movies, Captain Scarlet, New Captain Scarlet, and Stingray. I love them all. The Thunderbirds will remain forever my favourite. What do you guys recommend I watch next for the first time?
Space Precinct.
Thanks all.
Couldn't even wait for the end of the email.
No, thought I'd get in there quick.
Well, I think Joe. From the puppet shows already, you like Captain Scarlet, you're going to love Joe.
Actually, I think you should watch The Secret Service next.
That
couldn't hurt.
That would certainly be something, wouldn't it?
Shake it up a bit, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to watch the puppet shows, then why not give Joe 90 a try and see how you get on?
See if you find him irksome.
Yes.
Irksome.
Yeah.
It's the word of the week.
It is. Yes. Jamie, one for you.
Speaking of irksome, it's me. Yes. Greetings, Chris, Jamie, Richard.
Hello there.
Good order. Long-time listener, first-time emailer here. Hurrah! Thank you for answering the call.
Yes.
I'm a supercar nut.
Right.
And I'm greatly looking forward to getting my mitts on the supercar confectionery cards.
Ooh.
Payday can't come soon enough, as far as I'm concerned. Well, here's to that. In addition to supercar, my other major Anderson weakness is for the audio dramas and audiobook readings.
Great.
Any chance of any supercar in that format one day? I think that would be most satisfactory. I'm not doing the voice, that's Chris' job. Keep up the good work. X06, or James in real life.
Nice one, James.
Well, X06. Chris has already done a supercar audio, which is free on the Gerry Anderson store if you haven't already got that. Which
and I
may
would
not have done.
certainly like to do some more, James, or may I call you Jimmy? I am always open for more supercar audios, and I am bound to say that I am ready and willing to answer the call whenever you decide there's a market for it.
Any excuse. It's like wind him up and watch him go.
I know. I mean, I was sort of thinking about it, and then he's really put me off with all that.
I believe it, thanks.
The problem is Chris is very busy, and Chris has some deadlines coming up. Chris has no time for anything else, do you, Chris?
I do not. I would be good.
Thank you very much. So
but once that's done,
you've got more deadlines. But let's see how it goes. Thank you, Agent X06.
Great. Thanks for getting in touch, email newbies. Let's have some more names that we've never heard before. Keep them coming in, podcast@gerryanderson.com. Don't forget, you can also comment beneath our YouTube channel. We go live every Sunday night at 7 o'clock. Not live, we premiere.
Yes, that's right.
Sort of pseudo live.
So if you're sitting there saying, why aren't they replying to the questions as you're asking them in real time?
It's because we're in the pub.
Yeah.
Probably.
Really?
Well, I was last week. But of course, we'll be reading out more of your emails next time. In the meantime, when Glenn Marks was here a little earlier on, I asked him to press the big red button to see. I actually did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
To see what the randomizer will choose for us this week. Should we have a look?
Yes, I'd love to.
Over to you, Glenn.
Okay, it's randomizer time. So, guys, you ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you so much, Glenn. Let's see what he's chosen for us.
The colours already?
Yeah, past the super marination.
Oh.
Wow, we're going. This is a very deep
Might be
dive,
Space
isn't it?
Precinct.
Could be.
Oh.
Well, I always love to see Lavender Castle. I do. I find it really sweet. Tell us all about Lavender Castle in 10 seconds or less, Chris.
Lavender Castle is a beautiful stop-motion animated series about a crew of the Paradox, and they're looking for a nice floating palace called Lavender Castle, and it's all happy and beautiful.
Very good.
8.5 seconds.
Yes, excellent. Well done.
Created by Rodney Matthews.
Oh, no, stop now.
Rodney Matthews, of course, who we had the pleasure of interviewing.
Previous guest on the
Yes.
What number was that, so we can refer our viewers and listeners?
It was in the hundreds.
In the 300s. It's quite recent.
Specs on.
Oh, specs on. Lovely.
Lavender Castle.
It is like stepping into a warm bath, isn't it?
The magical coral thrum.
With a good glug of Radox.
And a nice
Radox.
glass of champagne.
Oh,
all right, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris is doing all right, isn't he? To find it. They are lovely voices, lovely characters.
Lovely animation.
Yeah.
Beautifully sculpted, beautifully designed.
Yeah. So when I was up at Cosgrove Hall, when I was, 14 or something, and I got to paint my Sproggle, I also... That's a bit rude, isn't it? Sorry. I painted a Sproggle. I also painted Captain Thrice. And they had lovely painting instruction sheets where it literally would walk you through every single step. So that at any time they could be recreated.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's the problem with foam rubber. It starts cracking and creasing around the bits that get lots of movement. So Sproggle always had a cracky mouth.
Right. And how many do you know of these models did they have?
I don't know, but I would think
Did
probably
they have backups?
two or
Two or three,
three
yeah.
live ones and ones that were going in for repairs. So you could always have something
Because
on
we've had a
set.
couple on this very table, haven't we?
You have, yes.
So anyway, Captain Thrice is having a bit of a nap.
Can't say I blame him.
Oh, dear.
Okay. Careful, Rog.
This is predictable, I think. What's going to happen here?
I mean, it looks pretty sturdy from here. So.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to break my record.
I'll be over here being a stereotype man.
Will you stop that noise, Squeaky? Can't you see I'm playing?
I'm sorry, Mr. Isambard, but I must clean up.
Oh, but you've cleaned up 3 times today already.
Can't any of you read? It says, do not disturb.
So everyone's getting on everyone's nerves already.
I'm going to the flight deck. Maybe I'll get some peace and quiet there.
Just one more.
The tension's building.
Yes. Oh no. He's not.
Oh, no. That collapse.
Yeah.
Animating that collapse.
That was amazing. Yeah.
How they must have had several kind of in sequence glued together.
Had enough of this. As your ship's doctor, I'm telling you, you're all suffering a serious case of
Getting on each other's tits.
Yes. They're all a bit fractious, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, it's quite a small cottage spaceship that they live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we seem to get on all right, and we've just only got a small space here.
Yeah, but once a month.
Yeah. And we've got coffee.
Yes.
Oh, Sproggle has a plan.
So Dad loved the name Sproggle,
Yeah.
so much so that we had a Jack Russell called Sproggle, which is his favourite. Very sweet.
Yeah, of course.
That's what the advert said.
How can a galactic theme park be here?
So now we have a nice planet set mix of practical stuff and
CG.
CGI by the look of it.
Yeah. Oh, suspicious.
Look!
Galactic Park.
How could we have missed it? Come on.
It's a well-worn theme, this, isn't it? I'm thinking of Star Trek Next Generation. I think there are various episodes where they have a bit of R&R.
I thought you were saying where they're lured to a theme park by mistake.
Let's press on, shall we?
It is such a beautiful show. They went so far above and beyond
Yeah.
to do this.
And the fact that the characters are like doing things in the background, like Roger just picked something off a tree there. And there he is. Which one? This is it Twaddle Dim or Twaddle Duff?
Tweedle Dee and Twaddle.
Merchants.
There are rides that are scattered all over the planet. It is the biggest theme park in the universe.
That's a great voice as well.
I doubt that.
Never mind. We're here now. Let's all go for a ride.
That was overly enthusiastic.
Oh, why not?
Yeah, all of Rodney's creature designs are so beautiful. And even the ghost train, look at it.
Yes.
So if ever we do a real Anderson theme park, we've got to get this in here somewhere.
Absolutely.
Lavender Castle Ghost Train.
Yeah.
Your problem. What is the trouble, me old cock?
They aren't frightened. We'll say that now on Kids TV, would you?
Well, of course, this creature's name is a bit problematic as well these days.
Oh,
That's Trump.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Very good, yeah.
Is Dr. Aegon? Oh, no.
I didn't see that coming.
Did you not?
We'll soon put a stop to that.
With my wonderful deep voice.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Look, they know Dr. Aegon too.
I've always wanted to do this.
Not much of an aspiration. Always wanted to throw fruit at Dr. Aegon.
Yeah, we don't want to kill him or get rid of him, just
Yeah.
chuck stuff at him.
I must say, this is a jolly good ride. Not too scary.
Oh, famous last words,
Yes,
Captain Thrice.
Exactly.
Thought you said you would scare them.
Very funny. This will really scare.
It's a rather convoluted plot, isn't it?
Well,
For Dr. Aegon, I mean. His plan is a little...
now they've switched to CGI.
Yeah.
That is unusual.
Guess they wanted to do an impossible shot,
Yeah.
although I don't think that would have been impossible for stop motion, but...
Because I know they did do CGI sometimes. This is
Very interesting.
very interesting, yeah.
Theory of spiral anatomy and rotatalizing displementation.
Oh, maybe.
Rotatalizing displementation. Wow.
Much joy to the eyeball.
Yes.
This is going to be the big one.
Yes, this is going to be the big one.
The organ.
Oh, he's such a great villain.
He's a villain for being a villain's sake, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely,
Yes.
yeah.
Something exciting was going to happen.
It is. We're going to go over the edge.
Yeah.
That's good music.
Ah,
Oh, what a beautiful Scully rock.
The end of their journey is near. I want to do something I haven't done for a long time.
Right. Does he need a wee?
he's just happy.
It's all very clever. They've even copied Dr. Aegon's trumpet sound.
We'll have a perfect view, Trump, as they plunge.
Of your wonderful crowd sizes.
Over the edge.
Hang on. Oh. Something saved them.
CGI.
Lavender CGI,
Yes.
yes.
Lavender Castle is going to save them.
Oh, no.
Ah, there's nothing supporting us. How do they do it?
They're very slow on the uptake.
Yes.
What a wonderful view.
Oh.
And back in again.
Great.
It's quite sweet, actually, that they don't know that this is all Aegon.
You know, I reckon with a bit of work on a wet weekend, I could put one of those up in the back garden.
They're coming back.
That Roger's got a ray gun.
And so have I.
Oh, I like his ray gun.
yes.
That's a prop replica we could do.
Yeah.
I know someone who'd be very pleased about that.
I know as one as well. It's unusual for them to have so little agency, though, in one of these stories.
Yeah.
It's all rescued by Lavender Castle
Yes.
and Aegon being a bit rubbish.
I'm not surprised.
But I like that from their point of view, it is just here's
They're
a
none the
nice
wiser.
day out and having fun. Yeah.
Yeah, especially the finale. They must put up a new wall for every ride.
I think we've had a splendid break. So, it's back to the paradox.
There you go. Great.
Oh. If only all Anderson villains were so easily defeated.
Yeah.
Trump. Wah, 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 wah. Wow.
That's the end.
it.
Wow, rapid. Gosh.
Wow.
How sweet. Yeah. Okay.
That was lovely.
It was lovely.
Yeah, they're always lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, can't really fault that, can you?
And it raced by. I know it's only 10 minutes, but even for a 10-minute thing, it's just because there's so much to look at. And it's sweet and fun and nice to enjoy.
Beautiful. So it's just nice and positive and happy. And I especially like there that they had no concept of the fact that they were in danger at all at any point.
Yes, it is a bit of a break from the norm, isn't it? I suppose. And a few podcast guests flashing by there as well.
Yes,
very nice.
Wow,
how lovely!
Good stuff.
Nice.
Lavender Castle or the Randomiser.
Yes,
so
that's a treat.
Let's see, Chris. What's your mark out of 5?
Well, it's difficult because I always rank them according to other episodes from the same series, and I don't know Lavender Castle well enough to sort of have a critical appreciation of everything.
You'll have to break your system, won't you?
I know. I enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 3.5.
3.5?
Yeah.
I'm going to go 4.5.
Oh, are you?
How could you criticise that? How could you criticise that beautifully crafted little 10-minute thing that we just watched?
You know what? I'm going up to 4.
There you are.
Up to 4.
You see, Jamie?
I'm going to match Chris's 4.
Yeah.
I'm not going as high as 4.5.
Sure.
Because I know you think you like the fact that they don't know, but I miss the lack of them actually solving it. Even if one of them had done the thing which fixed it all and just kind of went,
Yes, right.
I would have liked that
Fair enough.
a bit more. But it's a beautiful show, and I'm sad that it's locked up in the archives of DreamWorks currently, which is where it sits and means nobody gets to see it. I mean, it's on YouTube illegally.
Yes.
Whoever put that up, very naughty.
Yes, thanks.
But yeah, it's just a great shame.
It is a shame. There we are.
So is this the highest we've ever rated an
I think it must be.
This must make it our favourite.
I think it must be. Podsterons, how would you rate that episode of Lavender Castle? I think there's someone who just puts 5 every week.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've given that 16.5 out of 15.
I think we've given it
12.5.
11.5.
Podsterons right in and tell us how we rated that episode of Lavender Castle. Join us next week. We'll have another episode from the random Gerry Anderson series of The Randomiser, part 2 of my interview with the wonderful Glenn Marks, and I dare say a pocket full of Gerry Anderson news.
Wow.
Yeah. 12.5.
See you then.
Bye.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
I told you maths isn't my strong point.
No, but between the three of us, we should be able to.
We should have been able to add up 3 4s and a half. I mean, that wasn't difficult, was it?
Yeah, I got slightly confused.
It's been a long pod.
It's been a long pod. Yes. I think we better move on to the next one, hadn't we?
Yeah, so hang on, what was that? That was 328 plus 1.
And 16.5.
Carry the 4.
And divide it by the first number you thought of.
Right.
So it'll be 329 next week.
Is it?
Yeah. See you then.
Bye.
That was an Anderson Entertainment production.